Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to our information session about the Master of Music in Music Business and Entertainment Industries. My name is Rachel Hanusa. I'm director of Frost Online, and I'll be the host for today's event. We're going to talk to you all about our program, and you're going to meet some of our faculty and some of our amazing alumni. This information session will be just about 30 minutes, and a recording is going to be available after the session. So if you miss anything, feel free to watch that later. And please submit any questions you have during this session using the Q&A feature. We'll try to answer you right away, and we'll have people available to help you with that. If you have any questions or if you're interested in applying after this, you're welcome to speak with an enrollment advisor at any time. The phone number is listed there, and there's a live chat available at uonline.miami.edu. So first, I would like to introduce our faculty that are here today as panelists. We have Serena Elton, who's Director of the Music Business and Entertainment Industries Program, and also Associate Dean of Administration at the University of Miami Frost School of Music. And Ray Sanchez, who's Associate Dean for Strategic Initiatives and Innovation, and also a Professor of Music Business and Entertainment Industries at the Frost School. Thank you so much for being here today. We look forward to hearing from you, and we'll be asking them questions in a little bit. We also have 3 alumni that are joining us today. We have Andrea Jennings, who graduated in 2017. She's currently the founder of Shifting Creative Paradigms Entertainment and Productions, where she's a screenwriter, consultant, and disability and inclusion strategist. We have LaContier Williams, who was one of our first graduates in 2016. She's currently Senior Communications Specialist at Memphis Light, Gas, and Water. She produces and writes content for video shows, manages social media, and manages audio and visual needs for events. And she's also a company spokesperson. And finally, we have Gerald Washington, also one of our first graduates in 2016. He's currently freelancing and running his own business as a mixing and mastering engineer. Thank you all for being here today. We're going to hear from you later. But first, I would like to start with our faculty. I will start with Serena Elton. What are some valuable lessons or experiences gained specifically by Frost students in our online program? Oh, you're on mute. Sorry.
Sorry, I have multiple mute buttons going. So hello, everybody. Great to virtually meet you. Sorry, Rachel, can you say that question again? I missed part of it. You cut out.
Oh, you're okay. What are some valuable lessons or experiences gained specifically by Frost students in our program?
Sure. So valuable lessons. I think what's really exciting, and then hopefully our alumni will agree, our faculty are very active in the industry, right? So what they bring to the classroom, the virtual classroom, is a combination of anecdotal stories of things they've done. So in that, you're getting lessons from the field. It's not theoretical. They can really explain a concept and then say, let me give you an example of exactly how that thing played out in a work environment. I love including all kinds of crazy examples, probably things I shouldn't be sharing with students. I should do a better job at changing the names of industry people involved when I tell stories. But we do love to share some of those experiences we've had to connect them to the topic we're talking about in class. And then in terms of experiences, different classes have different kinds of assignments. Certainly there's some exams, but there's also project-based assignments, that range from really big projects to, sort of like small assignments that just touch upon a particular topic that's covered, let's say, for that week. And so getting to do some actual things like, put your hands virtually on creating a spreadsheet or creating a press release or, depending on the class, whatever it may be, doing some analytics, using Google Analytics, different things like that, depending on the course. You're getting some experiences even while you're a student, as opposed to just learning it out of a book and then not ever seeing it in action until you actually are working somewhere.
Great, thank you. And Ray, a question for you. What do you do to help students excel in an online environment?
Awesome. And first of all, it's great to see these familiar faces on here. can't wait to hear what y'all been up to. But we've been at this for a while now, and I'd like to think that we've prepared our courses in a way that really makes it easy for students in an online environment to excel and to really engage with the material. The music industry is it's a funny business. It's not for everyone, and as we like to say, if it was easy, everybody would want it, would be doing it. But it's a combination of very specific knowledge that you have to just plain acquire and learn to speak the language and understand what's going on through all the different moving parts, as well as, of course, then there's the interpersonal, the networking with people, within, this whole ecosystem. I'd like to think that we've really been working on our courses to really expand and maximize both of those. Of course, the content itself, and as Professor Elton was stating, all of us are active in the industry and have a lot of background, but that's important. And so we have our face-to-face opportunities or our discussion boards, things like that. But then also we really work hard to keep our knowledge and information up to date. So I think those two things.
Great, thank you. And Serena, going back to the degree programs and what students get, how do students get a well-rounded education about the industry from this particular degree?
Well, I think the well-roundedness comes in terms of the course offerings. And so, we've over the years, we've learned about the best way to do this, and we always keep an eye on our competitors as well. And we think what's really important is that students get a foundation in all the sort of segments of the industry, because you just don't know what kinds of turns and twists your career is going to take. And so, we make sure students have a really strong foundational legal understanding, understand copyright law, because it underpins so much about how revenue is generated in the industry. We make sure you cover off music publishing, you cover off the record business, and then you get electives in there depending on your passion, your interests. And so I think, most academic programs, undergraduate or graduate, they tend to take on the flavor of their professors, and so if you only have one kind of professor, let's say all the professors come from the marketing world, you'll tend to see that all the classes are focused on marketing and they kind of don't address legal, for example. Or if you have a program where they're all lawyers, all you're going to get is legal. And so we really worked hard to make sure that between the faculty, all of us complement each other. We're not all carbon copies of each other. So myself and Professor Sanchez and Redmond and Palmer, we're all different. We come from different parts of the industry. We have different levels of different expertise areas that we're experts in. And so students really get exposed to those different points of view, exposed to different verticals in the industry. And I think that's really how we're able to offer a well-rounded education.
Thank you. And Ray, how do you help Frost students succeed after they graduate? What are some things that you do to help them, and what are some jobs that are out there for the graduates that they can get after this?
So I think all of us have been pretty good over the years at, whenever someone reaches out, staying connected. We have our LinkedIn group, of course. We have a network of alums around the country that we stay pretty close to. This is a relationships business. If you're looking for a job in the new, I was going to say newspaper, that would betray my age though, but in readily accessible media, We need an A&R director. No, you're not going to find that out there. You're going to hear about that through somebody else. Yeah, there may be places that you can find that information, but it's going to be buried because it's very much about relationships and so it's part of our jobs to stay connected in the industry. The moment that we're not connected to our alums and those in the industry anymore, we shouldn't be doing this at all. So, just the way I look at it is, and I remember when I first started teaching on campus, we would say to the incoming freshmen and the incoming grad students, congratulations, welcome to your first day in the music industry, because that's actually what's happening. So I like having relationships with students that develop into cool relationships with alums. Andrea, it's so good to see you on here. I'm hoping we get back in person. It looks like NAMM is going to happen again in person this year, and we'll definitely do something there for alums and potential students and whatnot. So
definitely.
Yeah,
I'd love to add to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Ray. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, what's great is that our online students tap into the same resources our on-campus students have.
Yes.
And so, right. For example, now we put out a weekly newsletter, and our online students can sign up for that newsletter. And sometimes we'll hear about unique positions. We put out, the word through the newsletter. We talk about internships through the newsletter. We'll post on our private LinkedIn group, which is members only. And I've been really active lately. We'll post jobs that we know about on the LinkedIn group. The way Ray was just mentioning the NAMM conference, there's also another conference called Music Biz. And we always have like a dinner, a very casual sort of, it's almost like a glorified happy hour with appetizers. But we do that when we're there. We've had some Frost Online students go to that event in Nashville, meet us there, meet other students from our on-campus programs. And so you're connected into the same things that our on-campus students are. And, when we have guest speakers, we mention them in that newsletter, and you can join those as well. So we really don't think of you as being part of some other group. You are pursuing our master's degree. You just happen to be doing it online in an asynchronous way, but you are still a master's student in our program. And so all the different kinds of offerings we have, it's really important to us that our online students get to have the full benefit of those as well.
Thank you. And one final question for both of you. How has the pandemic impacted the industry, given the times right now? And what do you think we can expect after all of this passes?
Oh.
Ray, I'll start with you. Well,
okay, and Sirona will definitely expand on this, but last year, a banner year for the recorded music industry, for the live music industry was in the tank. We all know this, it's no secret. And it's poised to come back very strong. But the recorded music industry had probably its best year, I would say, since the late 90s, early 2000s. Would you say, Sirona, somewhere along there? I can also speak for the musical products industry. This was actually on regular radio yesterday. I was listening to news, and a report came up about how many people were buying musical instruments and getting into music. The musical products industry pre-pandemic was over $30 billion industry worldwide. It hasn't shrunk. In fact, it's grown. Sweetwater Music, a music store in Fort Wayne, Indiana, did over $1 billion worth of business in 2020. Biggest year ever. So really interesting. There are two of the three corners of the business, recorded music and musical products, did incredibly well during the pandemic. Live music, of course, tanked, but it's going to explode. Everybody's preparing for that. Yeah, and that goes along historically with music as a business has often been contrarian to whatever's happening in the world and the economy. So, Sirona, you can expand
Thank you.
on that. if you want to.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you hit it on the head. That's kind of what's been happening. I will say that there's also, so on the challenge side, and students have had some challenges getting virtual internships.
Yes.
And getting entry-level positions, because usually as an intern or as an entry-level employee, there's a fair amount of supervision involved, and not all companies have been willing to take on brand new people in a virtual way. But I think that's almost behind us, and we're actually seeing companies lean into virtual internships now. I've been seeing some listed for the summer. I think what we're going to see changes has to do with, one, how business is done. I think a lot of companies now are much more willing to entertain the idea of employees working virtually. And I think it's really exciting for people who really want to work in the industry but don't want to leave the town where they live in. The fact is, the music industry, there are certain parts of the country where there are these concentrations of jobs, right? You can guess what they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
New York, LA, Nashville, Miami, Atlanta, Austin for live, depending on where they are, there's these pockets. But what if you live in Idaho? I'm sure there's a performing arts center there. I'm sure there's nightclubs there. There's industry there. There may not be a lot of record companies or publishers or digital music services based in Idaho, for example. But now I think these companies are going to be much more open to having somebody who's got the right skills they want, but lives somewhere that's not where there's an office located, work for them and work remotely. So I think that's exciting, because I think that really opens up what may have been sort of geographical blockers in the past. And certainly as an online student who may not be based in one of the hubs, I think that becomes really even more interesting for you than it ever was pre-COVID, So I think that's something that's really going to be a silver lining out of this. I think the other thing is that while everybody is feeling very confident live music in person is going to bounce way back, I'm also excited about how there also might be a much more willingness, openness to explore virtual live music, just not in person. So real time, like let me attend that concert, in person, attend virtually in real time, because maybe you were never going to be able to go to that. Maybe your favorite artist is doing one show in the US that year and you were never going to be able to spend the thousands of dollars to fly there and stay there. That was never an option, but you could now attend virtually. Whereas I think there might have been a lot more hesitancy about that in the past, both on the part of the artist and the part of the attendee. I think people have realized that while there is nothing quite the same as being in person, virtual can be really great if the alternative is to not see it at all, right? And look, it's interesting. Of all the people to tell that to, an online student understands that better than anybody. Because you might have, it might have been like, well, it would have been awesome to move to Miami and do this degree. That was never going to happen. And so my choice was move to Miami or don't do the degree. An online degree is a fantastic alternative to going to the degree in person. So you guys understand, right? If the choice is between going to a concert or never seeing that performance virtually is way better than never seeing it. So I think, other areas in live performance are waking up to that, which excites me. I'll date myself just quickly. I remember being in college, and back then there was pay-per-view on cable TV, like pay-per-view. And there was a concert that I really wanted to see, and I was never going to be able to go see it in person. And I paid for that pay-per-view and I watched it on my television. It was amazing. So, I'm glad everyone else has caught up to what I knew back then, but I think I'm excited about that.
Great. Thank you both so much. That was all very informative. And as you can tell, our faculty are all experts from the industry, and they are excellent resources for our students, and they're always there and willing to help everyone in our program. So thank you both. We'd like to move on to our alumni and ask them some questions about their experience and what they're up to. So I want to start with LeContier. What attracted you to this specific program and University of Miami?
Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be a part of this panel. To start out with, I actually applied as a traditional student. I was on campus, and it just so happened that when I got to Miami, I was able to transfer online. Life happens. I was a single mom. My father had passed. So I just had a lot of things going on in my life. And so that transfer to the online program was really, really beneficial for me. But I know before I applied, one of the things that I was looking for is I wanted a school that had credentials. I wanted to be a part of a music business program that I thought was powerful, that I thought would have weight and meaning behind it. And I remember applying and thinking to myself, they are never going to accept me. This school is pretty prestigious, the program is, but I remember the day I got the acceptance letter. And to me, there was just no second thought in my head if I wanted to attend this school and this program. Always loved music. So the opportunity to just be a part of the program was just, it was meaningful. And really, I mean, compared to the other schools that I applied for, I just think University of Miami is just number one, and the program is just stellar. Whether you do traditional or online, I really, really am thankful that I was able to be accepted and participate in the program.
Thank you. That's so great to hear. And Gerald, for you, what was your goal when pursuing a graduate degree?
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope it's really good to see everybody, of course. But my major goal when pursuing a graduate degree for me personally is an audio engineer. I was working in the studio, and while I have the creative side and someone who was an alumni of Full Sail University as well, I just felt like I needed something else. I needed something a little to help me be a bit more well-rounded. And doing my research, I came across Frost Online as I was looking to just kind of going through a lot of the curriculum and a lot of the admissions and just programs at Miami. And it just stood out to me. Something in my gut just said, this is the school. This is what you want to be a part of. And I'm sure, Rachel, you can attest to that, because I think I harassed Rachel with emails, just wanting to, make sure I had everything in, wanting to make sure that I got everything, all my documents and stuff in time, because I really want to be a part of Frost Online, because, my dad's people, they're from Fort Lauderdale. So UM is one of those entities in, my dad's history that he just, I couldn't, being born and raised in Atlanta, I couldn't help but always hear about from him. So this was kind of a no-brainer. But getting deeper into the details of the programs that were being offered, and especially the music business and entertainment industries program, I want to say in Atlanta, Kennesaw State has a music business industries program now, but it's still, I'm biased, obviously, but it's nothing compared to what had to offer and has to offer now. So.
Great, thank you. And Andrea, for you, what was the most valuable or applicable thing that you learned during the program?
Well, first of all, again, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. That's hard to say. I learned so much. Everything was so valuable. I believe when I have a background, my mother has a background in entertainment law. So I grew up with talking about music and music business at the dinner table, first of all, just to give you a background. I'm originally from New York, then we moved to California. So I thought I knew, most everything. But when I took the music copyright class, I learned more about the artist rights. And it really changed my perspective on how I felt about certain things. And that was just priceless to me. I like to be able to look at both sides and both perspectives. And again, I thought I knew a lot, but I just realized, my goodness, the whole curriculum was, I'm very proud to list the courses that I've taken. I feel well prepared for most any job in the industry. And so, I just learned so much. I'm just very, very proud to say that I attended this program. And just like the other panelists are saying, hands down, it was just not a choice for me. I was so proud when I was accepted. I was so proud that I saw that there was a program like this. It's actually, I know this sounds a bit much or corny, but it was one of the best decisions I've ever made to attend. So.
Great, thank you. That's wonderful to hear.
You're welcome.
And Vacantier, back to you. You mentioned that you were going to go on campus and decided to do online. Was this your first time in a fully online program? And if so, how does it compare to being on campus?
Yes, this was my first time. Well, that was my first time doing a fully online program. You know, it has its pros and its cons. You know, obviously you will want to be on campus and seeing people, and especially when you talk about something like University of Miami, I think the entire experience, you want to have it. But I think it depends on your lifestyle too, because as I said earlier, I was a single mom and I had a lot of other things going on. I had to work and I had to provide for my child. So the online program really wasn't a bad thing. And one of the things I really appreciated was how accessible the professors were. I never felt alone. I always felt like I could ask questions and get clarification, and sometimes just have normal conversations like you would do on campus. And all of those things were very appreciated. I always felt like the content was very thorough. It wasn't just like, here's something to do online, you figure it out. No, I really felt like I got, you know, the same fair and equal treatment that I would have received on campus. And I do remember when I came down there to participate in the graduation activities and ceremony, just the way I remember meeting Gerald down there and just the way we were treated and we were shown so much love. And I will always feel like I'm a part of the Miami family. So like I said, it can have its drawbacks, but the experience is truly what you make it. And I made the best out of it. And I feel like it was a good decision for me.
That's great. Thank you. And Gerald, back to you. How did earning your degree from impact your career growth?
So for me, it was, I honestly can say it was one of those things that impressed people after graduation. I think it was more so the fact that I don't want to sound like I'm boasting about Miami too much, but you know, it's one of those things when you say the University of Miami, it makes people get wide-eyed for some reason. It really makes people take a second look. And just the alumni network, the people that, if you can look on LinkedIn and see the number of people who how many alums are working in certain, you know, just up here in Atlanta, the number of Miami students or alums that work for the Atlanta Hawks, that work for so many companies up here that you would not expect to see maybe certain alums or certain people from certain schools. But there's such a wide net that Miami has cast for not only the faculty, but also the students, and so many various backgrounds. So for me, coming from Full Sail, it just, once again, was a different experience in a way that you saw how widely the net was cast and how many backgrounds people come from, that you can learn a lot about the world just by going to Coral Gables. And that's one of the things. And even like Vacantier said, the online program, even if you're not on campus, even if you're online, you get the same feeling as being a campus student. You get the same inclusion, you get the same just camaraderie, you get all of that. So for me, that, once again, my goal to want to be more well-rounded as far as music business is concerned, I got something totally extra when it comes to getting the degree and also getting the network, the alumni network, the support of the faculty even after graduating. So I can't even put into words or put a numeric value on the value that comes with getting a degree from Miami. So
that's great. Thank you. And one final question, we're going to give this to Andrea. How has COVID-19 affected your career? Do you feel like the industry has changed since the pandemic, good or bad? What can you tell us about your experience?
Well, thank you. And before I answer this, I want to say hi to Ray and Professor Selton and yourself, just to let people that are watching know we're like a family. You know, they come out to California pre-COVID, and we would go to the NAMM show and we meet up and we meet with other people from California, and it's just like a family. What's important to me, I'm an advocate for people with disabilities. And when I see companies that try to get people to come into their network, but then they don't follow up with them, that says a lot to me. And it feels like a PR campaign. With the University of Miami, they actually follow up with you. They check in on you. This is real. Like from everyone's experiences, I've had the same experience. When you think of othering and belonging, I've always felt like they've reached out and made me feel like I belong. I do not feel like I'm a part of an online program. But to get back to your question, I feel that we're creatives. And so when COVID first happened, unfortunately, and we had to quarantine, at first a creative person feels a little stifled, but then you go within and you realize, wait, I'm a creative. This is what I was built for. This is what I'm made for, especially with my master's degree in music business and entertainment. I'm like, I've got this, you know, I have all these different classes I've taken. So I just had to dig deep within, and I decided to just kind of recreate. So my company is called Shifting Creative Paradigms, and it's a production company that focuses on creating inclusive content so that people with disabilities and other marginalized or underrepresented groups are included in music and entertainment. So I thought, I need to shift the paradigms. I need to do what my company is called. I need to just pivot and, you know, find a different way to create. So currently I'm actually, as we speak, creating a short film that I'm going to submit. I'm doing directing, but I'm also doing the music supervision for my own film. So I love the flexibility that I have with all the things that I've learned from the program. So it hasn't really stopped me once I really thought about my education, my background, and I felt confident again.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all so much for your amazing answers. It was so great to hear from all of you. And thank you for being here. Just a reminder as well, so we're talking about the Master of Music and Music Business degree, but we also have 4 graduate level certificates that are also in this area, and they're 9 credits. So you could get a certificate in Music Business Fundamentals, Music Rights Administration and Licensing, legal aspects of the music business, or music entrepreneurship. So if you're not quite ready for that full degree, the certificate gives you a little taste of our program, and then you could transfer that entire certificate into the degree if you're ready to do that as your next step. So thank you all so much for being here. I know there's a $300 deposit waiver available to you for attending, so that's going to be applied once you submit your application. The application and financial aid deadline is Monday, April 12th. We hope that you all submit. And again, if you have questions for an enrollment advisor at any time, you can call them at the number listed there or use the live chat feature. And you can start your application at myonline.miami.edu. We are all here for you. So if you have questions about anything about the Frost School, the process, anything, you're welcome to reach out to me, the faculty, whoever. And we also have a 1-minute survey at the end of this webinar. We'd love for you to fill that out. Let us know how we did for you and if there's anything we missed or you'd like to hear in the future. Again, thank you so much for attending. Feel free to also visit our Frost website. We have live streamed events going on all the time of concerts. We actually have a big festival that the Frost School is putting on Saturday, and they're going to be live streaming the whole thing. So if you want to check that out, please go to the Frost website and you can take a look at that. Thank you again, and we hope to hear from you.